Well, I'm from Nashville. My name is Burke Holland. I work for Microsoft on the Azure team. I am a cloud developer advocate, which means that I work with JavaScript in the cloud to make sure that it's a great experience for you, so that I bang my head on the desk so that you don't have to, is really the idea. In that process, I've become very close with the VS Code team. So I've done a lot of work with VS Code. I run a site called VS Code Can Do That. Has anybody heard of this site? Several hands. Cool. Tell your friends. Tweet it out. This is a site that I run with some of my colleagues, Brian Clark and Sarah Drasner, where we publish a bunch of small, short videos on what you can do with VS Code because we think it's just the greatest thing in the world. So even though we don't work on that team, we just talk about it all the time. And nobody's told me to stop doing that, so I just keep on doing it. I also run a show called 5 Things. Has anybody watched this show? Everybody! Every hand. Oh, you can't see the screen.
Yeah.
You know why? It's not plugged in. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so great. I noticed every hand went up when I asked that question, so that's awesome. 5 Things is a show that we do where we interview one guest each week. We give you 5 things about one specific topic. So you should check that out. Fun fact, 5 Things is the #1 show on YouTube in the less than a dozen subscribers category. So we're very proud of that. We have dozens of views. It's my retirement plan. So today we're going to talk about Visual Studio Code, and specifically Visual Studio Code Live Share. So for those of you who don't know, Live Share was released, it's still in preview, but it was released several months ago to the broader developer population. And the overall goal of Live Share is to enable Google Docs-like collaboration for developers. If you think about it, collaboration in Word documents and even spreadsheets is trivial. Thanks to Google Docs, I have to say Microsoft Office 365. I'm compelled by law to tell you that. So that's trivial, but for us to collaborate as developers is still pretty hard. It's still pretty hard. It usually consists with us either all standing around a screen, pointing over each other's shoulders, or getting on a Skype call and saying, tell me when you can see my screen, tell me when you can see my screen, tell me, right? So we don't really have a good tool to do that. And so Microsoft is trying to create a service or a tool that fills this sort of huge missing gap that we have as developers. I'll move this coffee before I kick it. So that's Live Share. So today we're just going to go through and look at Live Share and all of the different things that it can do and the different ways that you can use it. So to use Live Share, you have to install it. And you do that as an extension. Everything in VS Code is an extension. Live Share is no exception to that. You find it here and see the large preview disclaimer at the top, which means if something goes wrong, it's not our fault. We told you it was a preview. So you check that out. There's also a Live Share extension pack here that you can check out. The Live Share extension pack contains Live Share, and it also contains, what else is in here? It's got the audio extension, which we're going to talk about, and it's got an extension called Team Chat, which we're not going to go over, but it does allow you to do chat inside of VS Code. I'm going to show you a different extension, one I think is a little bit more robust than that one. But you can do that. And if you want to grab this, you can go to, you can go to aka.ms/live share pack if you want to go ahead and install Live Share. And for those who do install Live Share, we will run a contest at the very end of this session. You'll have to have Live Share installed. And the prizes are non-trivial, okay? Just saying, they are substantial, like this big. Seriously. All right. So once you have Live Share installed, there are a couple different ways that you can work with it. Pretty much like everything Microsoft makes, there are 5,000 different ways to work with it inside of the UI. One of the ways is just to click on your name down here in the bottom. So you'll see your name. You can see that I'm signed in. If I click, you can see I can start a new collaboration session, join one, sign out, all the different things that you would need to do. Now, the first time you install it, it's going to ask you to sign in. But you don't have to actually sign in manually. You can just try to start a session. It will ask you to sign in. So no matter what you do in LiveShare, it's going to ask you to sign in. You'll go through that process. It'll ask you to sign in with your Microsoft account, right? Everybody's got a Microsoft account. Or your GitHub account, right? Probably most people have a GitHub account. That's one I use. Yeah. I'm like, Microsoft, do I have a Microsoft account? I don't know. Yeah, so you sign in, and then you can start a new collaboration session, which is exactly what we're going to do here in a second. The other thing that you need to know about here in Visual Studio Code for LiveShare is the LiveShare Explorer view, which is over here on the right-hand side. This is called the activity bar, and you can view the LiveShare Explorer view here. Now, you'll spend a lot of time here. This is a very cool place because you're going to be able to see everyone that's connected. You can share terminals and servers and ports and all sorts of stuff from this view right here. This is where I usually hang out. The last place that you can get it is from the command palette. So if you just do Command-Shift or Control-Shift-P and then Live Stream or Live Share, excuse me, you'll see all of the different options there. So just different ways to all do the same thing. One thing that I do is I map a keyboard shortcut to the LiveShare Explorer view. I map Command L, which allows me to just quickly toggle. So if I'm in the Explorer, I can just do Command L, and that drops me over to the LiveShare Explorer view. So it's a handy little tip that you can use. You can just add a keyboard shortcut, and that makes it easier to move back and forth. So let's start a new collaboration session here. I'll do that from right here. And it's going to share my workspace, and it's going to give me a code that I can now send, or a URL rather, that I can send to other people, and they can join my LiveShare session. Now, LiveShare works across Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. Anybody in here using Visual Studio? A couple hands. So you can use this too. And you can use it between Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. So oddly enough, if somebody's using VS Code and you're using Visual Studio, you can still use LiveShare. You can still work together. This does not work in Eclipse or WebStorm. Sorry, people. VS only. How many people in here are using VS Code? Wow. Geez, that's everybody. Anybody using, what else we got? Anybody, any WebStorm people here? One right there. Atom? A couple Atom people. Any Eclipse people? Oh, right here. It's all right, man. There's a support group. We're going to go later. We'll do that one, then we'll do the SharePoint support group. That'll be all right. Yeah, exactly. All right, so now that we have this, we want to send this link to people. So what we're going to do so you can watch me do this is I've got two different isolated environments running. One of them is this one over here on the left, which is my machine, my Mac. And then the other one is over here on the right, which is a virtual machine. This is Windows. Now, these environments are completely separate from each other. They cannot talk to each other. In other words, there's no shared networking. None of that is happening between these two machines. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come over to LiveShare here and say Join Collaboration Session and paste in our URL. And then you will see here in just a second that I will join over here on the left-hand side. Here it is. So this is not Burke, OK? This is Burke. This is not Burke. Everybody clear? All right. Now, notice here that it's asked me when I started this session whether or not I wanted to make this session read-only. By default, LiveShare sessions are read-write. So when you share, the other person can change your code. It's a good idea to share read-only by default. I think that this is something they should probably change. We'll see if they do. Just from a security point of view, you only want to allow people to write if you're very, very sure about that. So really, it probably should default to read and then ask if you want to make it right. Now, notice if I say make read-only, it says too late. Someone already joined. You can't change the status of the collaboration session. It's too late now. So just know that once people actually join, you cannot switch from read to write or back and forth. It is what it is for the duration of the session. Now again, the product's in preview, so this may change. In fact, they release things all the time, and they send me emails, and I'm like, please stop working on the product, because I have a presentation I do, and I have to change my presentation every time you add features. So there's a lot of features that have rolled out, even since I prepped for this presentation here. So we'll say, OK, and now we are live sharing, and I'm going to come over here. Let's open a file on this side here, something exciting. Maybe Let's do index.ts. That works. And you can see on the right, I don't know if you saw when I did that, but the person on the right here actually follows me over to where I'm going to be. And can change my code. And if I save this, it should show up here. Huh, interesting. Oh, I'm in a different file here. I need to be, you know what? I clicked in the sidebar. Thank you very much. So let's go over here to index. There we go. So if I change this, they can now save. Now, one of the things that you might want to do, in addition to making it read-only, is you could get in a situation where you share your session with someone and then you forget and you leave it open and you go to lunch. And if the person has read-write ability on your project, they can just come in and like change one letter in your database connection string and then laugh as you spend the next 4 hours trying to figure out how your life has gone so terribly wrong. Also, one of the other things that you can do to make this more secure is sort of change the default join behavior. So let me show you how we can do that here. I'm going to come over to my user settings, which is Command or Control, comma, and then we can do live share, and we're going to do, let's see here. Let's do guest approval required, and we're going to set that to true, okay? Let's come back over here and go ahead and disconnect from our session here, and then we'll connect again once the live share extension loads. Let's go ahead and join. And this time when we join, what we'll see is we'll get a prompt over here on this side that asks me whether or not I want to accept or block the person. Now this is important because if you forget to close down your live share session, you leave it open, this person cannot automatically get back in, right? They cannot automatically reconnect. Also note that if you reject and block the person, they are blocked for the duration of the session. So you will not be notified if they try to join over and over and over again. So that's something else I recommend doing. Just requiring your approval before you allow people into your code is a good idea. So let's go back to our code here. The default behavior that we have inside of VS Code is what we call follow behavior. So follow behavior means that if I'm following someone, let's go back here and just collapse this. If I'm following someone, I will always be in the same file as they are. Now, we've made a change over here to this file, which means that we are no longer following. So if I actually come here, well, we might be since we disconnected and go back. Let's see if we're following or not. So let's do app.ts. So we are not, you'll notice we are not following anymore. If we were following, what would happen is we would automatically be taken into the app.ts file as well. This can be really confusing. LiveShare is trying to guess which workflow would be easiest for you in terms of, do you want to always be following the other person you're working with, or are you working in different files? It's very hard to know. So what LiveShare does is when you connect, it automatically puts you into follow mode. If you make a change to the file, then you are no longer in follow mode, and you will not see what the other person sees exactly. You will not be in the same place. This can be super confusing because what I've noticed what happens is that people start a live share session, they're both working on a file, then they get in separate files, and one person will be saying, like, look at line 18, and they'll talk about line 18, and the person they're working with sees an entirely different line 18 because they're in a different file. So to fix that, we want to do something called focusing followers. So let's come back over here to our action bar. And you can see up here at the top, we have a focus participants. So I'm going to click this right here, and that is going to focus the other people that are on the live share session automatically. So if I've joined someone's session and they focus me, it's going to remove me from whatever I'm working on and drop me into their file. And now when I scroll, they scroll, we're following each other exactly. Now there's a couple different things that you can do with this. The first one is you may not be keen on the idea of having live share rip you out of your context. So you're working on a file and someone focuses you and it's just going to tear you away from that, drop you in a new file. That can be super annoying. So what I would recommend to do for that is to come to user settings and go to live share, and let's do focus behavior. And you can see we have accept or prompt. We're just going to change that to prompt. And then what will happen here, if we come back, let's make a change so that we're no longer in follow mode. And then if I try to follow myself again here, this fictional person, it will ask, Burke Holland has requested you to follow them. And then, oh, actually, you know what? I added it on the wrong, so I need to add it over here. And what it'll do is it'll prompt you, focus behavior prompt. There we go. Go ahead and save that. So let's focus again. And then it will ask you, do you want to follow this person or do you want to ignore them? So this is sort of a solution to ripping you out of your context. You can add this setting to your settings file, and it will ask you before you do that. All right, so that's sort of the default live share behavior and some settings, some tweaks that you can make to live share. Now let's talk about actually using live share. Obviously, live share is great for code, all right? But code is just text. Live share also works with things like debugging. So, for instance, this application here is an Express app, and I can run it like this. And it will run, hopefully. And let's go ahead and open up the terminal here and come to our debug output. Here we go, and you can see that it's running on localhost 3000. So if I come over here to localhost 3000, just go ahead and hit refresh here. And now we can add breakpoints on this file. So let's go to the index file, let's add a breakpoint, and hit refresh. Where's my debugger? And what you'll notice is that this person on the other side actually will go into the debug as well. So you can see that I'm actually attached here on this side. So the debug session is shared between the two different instances of VS Code. Now, you can actually start a debug session from this other side as well, too. So right now, the way that we have it, if I click play here, you can see the host doesn't allow starting the debugger. You can change that so that the host can start the debugger. So if we come here and we say live share, allow guest debug control, we'll set that to true. And now it should go ahead and kick off a new debug session. So I've actually started the debug session from this side. Okay. We still have a problem here. The problem that we have is that the debugging is really only applicable to this machine on the left, because the site that we need is localhost 3000. So it's available for me here, but not here. Okay? I can't access it because they're two different machines. Let's watch this. Let's go back to live share. Let's open it up and say share a server. And we're just going to share port 3000 because that's where our app is running. We can give it a name, and now we've shared the port. Now watch this. So you can actually debug like you are on this person's environment. You are now on their local host. You are now in their code, debugging, stepping through, doing all the things that you need to. But this gets a little bit more interesting. Sharing ports is not restricted to just the browser. You can share any process that is exposed via TCP, like a database. So for instance, I have over here, this is the Cosmos DB extension. Cosmos DB is an Azure NoSQL database, but what's interesting about this extension is it also connects to MongoDB, which I have attached here locally. This is just my local instance of MongoDB. Over here on this side, I do not have MongoDB installed at all. You can see that if I expand this, these are the different databases that I have in here. Of course, everybody needs a database named Horse. If you want to know why I named a database Horse, I'll talk to you about that after the session here. But over on this side here, let's do this. Let's go ahead and say we're going to connect to our local host. We'll go ahead and save and click connect. And of course, this won't work because I don't have MongoDB installed and running on the right-hand side. It is not there. I have the tool there, but MongoDB isn't even there. But because this is just a port, 27017, we can share this just like we shared a server. So let's go ahead and share it, 27017. We'll just call it MongoDB. Now, let's see here. Do a new connection, manage connections. There we go. Let's go ahead and connect to this one. Now you can see here's my system databases, and this is the horse database. So I'm actually accessing the MongoDB instance on this machine from this machine. So not only do I have access to all the debugging, I have access to all of the ports that this person gives me, so their local host, their local site, and their local database, which is really nice. No more like, let me upload this file so you can bring it down and then put it in GitHub, and then I'll pull it in, and then I'll run it in and create a database on my side. And this is why developer collaboration is so hard, because we can't just share files. We need to share our entire environment. And that's what LiveShare helps us do. Here's something a little bit more interesting. You can also share servers, terminals. So right now, by default, it shares your terminals for you. So you can see here I'm sharing a terminal, and you can see that terminal over here. So if I was to come back to my terminal here and do, let's come over here and do like npm install, you can see that I can see it over here on the right-hand side, but I'm read-only. I can't actually make any changes. Cannot edit a read-only terminal. You can change that. You can come here and say, share a terminal, share it read-write, and now I can do right? Sharing terminals is extremely dangerous. Extremely dangerous. You can do this, and sometimes you do need to do this. Sometimes it's just helpful for the person to get in on your terminal and type. But again, I mean, you are really giving the other person a lot of power. Hopefully, people won't do that. I almost hit enter there. That would have been really bad. Maybe do something like this instead. But the point is, they have full access to your terminal from their side. So you can see here, I mean, LiveShare is not just about sharing code. It's about sharing your computer, the whole thing. And with a lot of power comes a lot of responsibility, as the overused Spider-Man quote goes. All right, let's talk about communication. One of the first things I see people do when they come into LiveShare, they'll open up a new LiveShare and they'll be like this. They'll do this. Come over here and they'll be like, hey, I'm in your code, ha ha ha, right? People immediately begin communicating via comments in the code. I've seen people do this all the time. This is not really how VS LiveShare was designed to be used. It's not supposed to be a chat tool. The reason for this is you probably already have a chat tool that you use. You don't need another one. We're not trying to reinvent chat tools here. That's complex. And so what we can do instead is there's a couple of different plugins that you can use, and the one that I am recommending currently is called CodeStream. So CodeStream you can get from the extension gallery here. Let's do CodeStream right there. And you can use Slack right inside of VS Code. So let's do this. Let's come here to our index file, and let's do this. Let's toggle CodeStream here. So you can see CodeStream will come up, and this is, at Microsoft, we have a Slack channel called Azure Advocacy. These are all the different channels that we have, and then all of the people that are actually in Slack with me here. You can see them all. These are all the people that are online, so I could pick someone like, let's see if Sarah's around. I was pinging her earlier. You there? So this person doesn't actually have to be in VS Code, right? She's in Slack, but she can see this. This will actually come into her Slack channel, and she can see this, and she can type back. I'm not sure if she's there. I think she's traveling this week. Another thing that you can do is not only chat here, but you can start a live share session from here as well. So you can do /liveshare. And it will automatically start a live share session and drop that link inside of Slack there. And then that person can join you just like that. CodeStream also does this weird thing. It has this feature where you can highlight blocks of code, and right-click and say Add Code Stream Comment, and it will put it in Slack, right? And then it actually annotates it out to the side, so I can have a comment here. What the heck is all of this? And so, all right, she's here. Sarah's here. So now watch, she's going to type in the comments. Right, so Sarah's now in New York. She's inside of my code here. But another thing you can do besides just communicating in Slack is you can also communicate with your voice, like it's 1985. You can still do that. Did you know that? It's still possible to call people on the phone. So while Visual Studio Live Share is not trying, see, she's typing in the comments. I told you, it's the first thing everybody does. I think I might break your demo. Yeah, it's fine, go ahead. I'll just say, go ahead. The demo sucks anyway. So let's see, I don't know if Sarah has, oh, right, of course. So let's see, let me ask Sarah, I don't know if she has the live, there's a live share audio extension that you can get. It's just called live share audio. Right here, live share audio. And then you can start a new call. So if we come here, I can say audio, start or join call. So I'm just going to say start call. And then I don't know if Sarah's got the audio extension installed. If she does, yeah, you can access the microphone. Let's come back over to our code stream. Let's see, do you have audio installed? She's making me a new demo. What is this? My face is in the, how did she do that? What in the world is going on here? I know. What in the world? All right. All right, so those are, I don't think she has the audio plugin installed, but if she did, you would hear her voice just come right out of your laptop. All right, so there's no ringing. It just prompts. It will prompt her on her side if she has the plugin. If she doesn't, it will ask her to install it, and then she can just join the call and you can just chat. All right, so this saves you from having to fire up a Skype session, share your screen, or have Skype running at the same time that you're running live share. Everything is just sort of self-contained. What is she doing now? Oh, she did? I don't have that many directories. So that is too many directories. All right, so that is Code Stream. Everybody, a round of applause for Sarah Drasner. Coming in from New York. I think she's like in an airport or something. All right, I'm going to kick her out now. Watch this. Sarah, see ya. All right, so we've gone over some of the major features of live share. A lot of people always ask me, cool, but I'm not exactly sure where I would use that. I think it's a valid question. The first thing is that the behavior that we've accrued over the years is really to fire up Skype and do things the hard way. So what I would recommend is the same thing I recommend when people say, how can I get better at VS Code? Well, my answer to that is whenever you go to do something in VS Code, if you reach for your mouse, ask yourself, can this be done with a keyboard shortcut? The answer is yes. I guarantee you the answer is yes. Look it up. It's going to take you a minute. Look it up and then use that, but you have to be deliberate. But your brain is really, really good at optimizing. So once it realizes that the keyboard shortcut is faster, it will default to that. Same thing with live share. You need to use it. You need to train your brain a little bit there. A couple of other use cases where this is helpful, instructors. Okay? You can have up to 30 participants at one time in read-only mode. So if you're teaching a class, you can give everybody a link and they can follow along with you right on their machine. Another one is new hire setups. Right? So if you have somebody that you're setting up, it's easy to just live share and get in there and help them out directly. And of course, the canonical use case is like get in and put a picture of my face with a, I don't know, what is that sign called? In the toolbar of my code. I still wonder how she did that. That doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even work. Let's pull that out. There we go. Yeah, that's what it was. She pulled in a picture of my face. All right, so that being said, let's play a game. Let me come out here to the web. let's go to aka.ms, and let's do a new live share session here. So we'll start a collaboration session. And then let's create a new link here. Let's put it here. And the vanity name will be what? We'll just say Boston. I wonder if Boston's taken. Boston. Make the link active. Oh, it works. All right, so now you can go to aka.ms/Boston. Everybody can see this? Right here. And if you do that, it should bring you over here into my live share session. Should. Let me make sure that works. Yep, looks like it. And the first 4 people that join my live share session get an open source Ninja Sloth. Now, these are priceless. Let me tell you why. Microsoft thought it would be a great idea to have, we got what do we have? Tony, Dan, who else? Did I miss someone?
Yeah, there were 2 people.
Was there 2 people before? Let's see, reject Dan, reject Tony, Alexander, Alex, you can't compete. Alex, oh man, there's too many. Alex and Ed, Alex, Ed, Dan, and Tony. All right, so we got 1 Ninja Sloth for all of you here. And the Ninja Sloth is, we're not supposed to give these out anymore because, where is everybody? I'll throw them, here we go. Because they had this idea that they would make fun of, we would make fun of ourselves, because Microsoft was so slow to open source that we were like the sloth. And so somebody in marketing was like, we should be self-deprecating and make a sloth. And everybody's like, that is the worst idea ever. What are you trying to tell people? That like our cloud is slow? So we're not supposed to give those out anymore, but I don't listen to instructions. Therefore, people now have Ninja Sloths. That is all I've got for you today. There are more features in VS Live Share that you can check out and explore for yourself. If you have any questions or just want to chat, I will be up here. So thank you so much for coming.